Welcome to Tome of Stars. I'm Stargazer, appearing in an avatar guise. My work is deeply personal, and so I stay anonymous to protect the privacy of others. This video is about the mythological creations of J.R.R. Tolkien, how they shaped the poet's youth, and how the figure of the Stargirl re-centered this imaginative space so that it revolved around her. To a similar degree that Bharatanatyam shapes this poetry collection, and in a strangely reinforcing manner within the pathologies of my own mind, so does Tolkien. If you are here to better understand Tome of Stars, Tolkien's legendarium is indispensable. Tolkien's writings constitute one of the most expansive and internally unified mythologies ever created in the modern era. As the vision of a single author, they rival anything achieved by an individual in the history of literature. At the heart of this legendarium is a creation myth that blends theological, philosophical, linguistic, and literary traditions into a unique cosmological framework. Rooted in both ancient and medieval narrative forms, as well as deeply Catholic metaphysical principles, Tolkien's cosmology serves as the foundation for his invented world and stories, preceding his most famous works, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Stories which occur in small periods of an extensive chronology extending back to the formation of the universe. From the abstract grandeur of the Ainulindale to the more terrestrial struggles chronicled in the bulk of the Silmarillion and The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's myth-making provides not only a fictional history, but also a metaphysical framework through which good, evil, beauty, death, and creation itself can be understood.
In Tolkien's dream, death frees us from life's pain.
Tolkien's cosmogony begins with a singular, supreme deity, Eru, also known as Ilúvatar, or All-Father. This monotheistic framework aligns closely with his Catholic theology. Ilúvatar is transcendent, self-existing, and beyond the world. He creates other spiritual beings, the Ainur, angelic intelligences, through his thought alone. Here we see Tolkien's theological synthesis. Ilúvatar resembles the god of Christianity, but the Ainur themselves parallel pagan deities or classical muses. As sub-creators, the Ainur are entrusted with shaping reality, but their power is derivative and bound by the will and knowledge of Ilúvatar. Tolkien was adamant that sub-creation, creating within the framework of a divine order, was the hallmark of artistic and spiritual activity. He believed that as beings made in the image of God, since God is a creator, so must we be. Tolkien's mythology begins not with chaos, but with musical harmony. The Ainulindale, music of the Ainur, recounts how Ilúvatar directs the Ainur to perform a great music, each singing their part, creating harmonies of extraordinary beauty. This music, in Tolkien's mythology, is something different from literal sound. It is a symbolic and metaphysical act of creation. In the Silmarillion, the music is the means by which these angelic beings shape the vision of the world that Ilúvatar gives them. The music is described in sonic terms, melodies, harmonies, and themes, but its true function is to express the underlying structure, order, and moral fabric of the universe. The world, Arda, is later made real by Ilúvatar, based on the music, suggesting that sound here is a metaphor for the shaping of reality through will, intellect, and spiritual intent. Yet one of the greatest of the Ainur, Melkor, whom the elves named Morgoth, the Dark Enemy, introduces dissonance into the music, seeking to assert his own vision independently of the others, and even to subvert the will of the Creator. This theme of discord becomes central. Evil in Tolkien's cosmology is not an equal or opposite power, but a corruption, a twisting of the good. Melkor's theme cannot exist without the original, and Iluvatar responds by integrating even the dissonance, which later becomes incarnate as destruction and suffering, into a final, more profound harmony, one that evil cannot understand. This interplay between divine sovereignty and creaturely rebellion echoes Augustinian and Thomistic theology, wherein evil is not a substance, but a parasitic distortion of the good. In Tolkien's account, the music of the Ainur is revealed to them as a visionary world, and Iluvatar brings it into being. Some Ainur descend into this reality to help shape it according to the music, not by creating anew, but by unfolding what was already sung in an act of sub-creative stewardship rather than autonomous invention. Of the Ainur who choose to descend into this incarnate world, those of greatest power and stature become known as the Valar, the powers of the world. Although a host of beings were present in the music, only some enter into time and space to take up the labor of shaping this created space. Each Vala embodies and exercises dominion over a particular domain or element of creation, in accordance with the themes they expressed in the music. I'll focus on one Vala in particular, one of the most powerful and important in the mythos, and one who caught my attention as a very young man before the Stargirl graced my life, and with whom my beloved fused in my imaginative processes. This Vala was named Varda, and when corporeal, took on the form of a woman. Quoting from the Silmarillion, "With Manwë dwells Varda, Lady of the Stars, who knows all the regions of Ea. Too great is her beauty to be declared in the words of men or of elves, for the light of Iluvatar lives still in her face. In light is her power and her joy. Out of the deeps of Ea she came to the aid of Manwë, for Melkor she knew from before the making of the music and rejected him, and he hated her, and feared her more than all others whom Eru made."
Sing behind that face.
Varda kindles the stars themselves, setting them in the sky both at the beginning of time and adding constellations as the first light the elves ever see when they awaken. Again, I'll quote directly from Tolkien's works. "Then Varda went forth from the council, and she looked out from the height of Taniquetil, and beheld the darkness of Middle-earth beneath the innumerable stars, faint and far. Then she began a great labor, greatest of all the works of the Valar since their coming into Arda. She took the silver dews from the vats of Telperion, and therewith she made new stars, and brighter against the coming of the firstborn. Wherefore she whose name out of the deeps of time and the labors of Ea was Tintale, the kindler, was called after by the elves Elentari, Queen of the Stars. It is told that even as Varda ended her labors, and they were long, the children of the earth awoke, the firstborn of Iluvatar. Their eyes beheld first of all things the stars of heaven. Because of this, the elves revere her above all others. Her light is associated with purity, hope, and resistance to evil. Varda's role is not only creative, but moral. When the elf Feanor brings the Silmarils, 3 gems that are one of the greatest acts of subcreation in Arda, before the Valar, it is Varda who hallows them. From that moment on, no evil being can touch them without pain. This act transforms the Silmarils from brilliant artifacts into sacred objects. They become a moral test. Those who seek them in pride or obsession are destroyed. Those who approach them in humility may endure their light. The Valar prophesy that the fate of the world lies locked within them. Varda's presence echoes far beyond the early ages of Arda. Her very name becomes a cry of resistance to darkness. Even the smallest figures like hobbits invoke her in moments of fear, such as in The Lord of the Rings, when Frodo calls her name on Weathertop when attacked by ringwraiths, or when Sam does when in the lair of the great monster Shelob. For me, Tolkien's mythology became more than mere literature. I came to it young, in a childhood without religion, but saturated with instability and abuse. Too young to fully understand the world he built, but not too young to recognize that something in it shimmered with a beautiful transcendence that I desperately needed. And in those pages, amid the grandeur of Valinor and the sorrow of exiled elves, I found Varda Elentari, the Star Queen. At the same time, I was also falling in love with the stars themselves. Not mythology, not metaphor, but the physical sky of our observable universe. Carl Sagan's Cosmos awakened my mind and my sense of wonder, and provided a path to stoke that fire through knowledge and scientific inquiry. His reverence for the vastness of space, for the immensity of time, for the fragile miracle of consciousness in the void, resonated with something deep within me. Somewhere between Tolkien and astronomy, Varda took shape in my mind. Not as a deity to believe in, but as an imaginative symbol that became psychically real. Her presence lingered in me like starlight, unseen but felt. Inner mythologies can develop in children who are left too long alone with pain and wonder. Varda became a personal divine abstraction, the goddess of everything that remained pure, even when I'd never myself had the experience of the sacred. This personal mythos married my love of Tolkien's tales with my love of the greater creation beyond Earth. And then, years later, a singular woman entered my life. Her name was fatefully associated with constellations. That fact might seem charming and trivial, a poetic coincidence. It wasn't for me. Names matter to the creatures on Earth that name things, and stories wrap themselves around names. And my need and imagination were too deep. In ways neither she nor I fully understood at the time, she entered my private cosmology. She became my Varda. She was, and is, and forever will be, my Stargirl. The secret archetype long gestating in a boy who stared too hard at the night sky. And so, I'll conclude this video by saying that Tolkien is not merely some entertaining fantasy to me, and his character of Varda is much more than a literary figure. In the strange interior map of my psyche, she is a fixed point, one whose light refracted through a trinity of science, fantasy, and love. These ideas, feelings, images, and symbols are woven into the verse in Tome of Stars, at times directly and obviously, but more often more subtly. They are realities of the heart, assumed as something akin to natural law, and they undergird the logic of the poems. I hope this video helps at least convey a little of this aspect of the project, perhaps helping readers gain more insight into the verse itself. My best regards to all.